Hi, this is Randy, also known as Star Thinker. Hopefully, this will be a quick video. Um, I never really got into Forrest Fenn's Treasure, and I'd like to talk a little bit today about what I think about it. Um, so, I was spending, I work at night, and so at night I watch a lot of YouTube videos. I have been watching a lot of paranormal videos and missing persons videos and park videos, and I don't know this. I started watching videos about Forrest Fenn's Treasure. And I've probably seen, oh god, must be close to 100 videos on this, and everybody's talking about not just the poem and the map, but every interview he's done, and a lot of the videos, if they're not talking about interviews with Forrest Fenn, I notice they get way off on a tangent that, as you're looking at the poem, you're like, this can't possibly be. But then a lot of the videos are like hanging on his every word, like, oh, he mentioned this and he mentioned this, and this is the word he said was important, and this is something he said. And that's something I never wanted to do with my hunt. So I might do an interview or two, but I will never go as far as, like, hopefully answering some question that everyone's going to hang on, because that's not who I am, and that's not what I ever wanted to do with this hunt. But looking through all these, I thought, well, let me take a look at the poem again. And a lot of people broke down the poem. I guess there's 9 clues in the poem that are important. And as I looked at it, I realized it was a lot like this. This is the secret. The secret had plates, and if you went through the plates and then went through the poems, you could kind of figure out where starting points were. The plates were very colorful, and they would help you pinpoint at least a city to start in, and then the poems walked you through step by step. And the only one I've ever followed was the one in Chicago, where it says, climb the 40 steps and then walk this way and then turn this. So it's actually like, it's a boots on the ground, because he did bury ceramic casts with ceramic keys in them. So it's a boots on the ground. Of course, it's decades old, and no one knows if all these will ever be found again. I know a lot of the places in the place that they assume was in New Orleans has been washed away. There was recently, and this is kind of cool, someone noticed that in a spot where they believed the cast to be buried, there was construction going on. So they asked permission for, to dig on this construction site, and they actually found one of the casts. And, it was kind of broken up because it's been buried for so long, and it was just ceramic. And, I thought that was pretty cool. And that gives just all hope that, things that are out there are still out there. Forrest Fenn's Treasure is in a wooden box. And, when you think about it, it's been over a decade now. This box has been weathering the elements out there, and you're just hoping that it's not rotted away, or, getting to the point where the lid's going to fall off and everything's going to spill out. But hopefully he did something. I haven't read that much into it. Like I said, I was just watching YouTube videos, a lot of these 10-minute, 15-minute videos on what people think everything is. But his poem seems to go along the same lines as The Secret, where you start at a starting point and you go through steps. And that's one of the things is, there's a point where it's far, but too far to walk. So it's kind of stretched out, but there is a starting point, and there seems to be steps that you got to go through to get there, almost like a pirate map. And this got me thinking about, everybody's talking about, if you just knew where to start, you would know what to do. And that clue, the first clue on where to start, where warm waters halt, is just so vague and so, I don't know, it kind of rubs me the wrong way. But recently I had a friend of mine he took it upon himself, and I think he was writing an article, but he visited every aurora in the United States. And I don't think he ever said like how many there were in total, but he was like vlogging this, and it was kind of interesting. But let's say there was 10 auroras in the United States, and someone did a treasure hunt that said start at Aurora and head south, and then do this and do this and this. So that's 10 possible starting places. If you knew for a fact that it was Aurora, but he didn't specify which Aurora, then you can, you know, trial and error. Go to each 10 Auroras and try it out. Now, that's something I didn't want to do with my book because I am perpetually broke and I perpetually can't travel. So I knew if I wanted to go visit the site of a solve, I would have to be damn sure that that was a place where it was. And so a lot of the clues in my book are Googleable, if that's a word. You can Google things and look them up and basically walk through and visit places in the book without actually traveling to that spot. And I did that in response to a conversation I had with Michael Stather that he said people are going to share everything anyway. So anyway, that was kind of my thought process. Was I didn't want people to waste their time, and then I don't want people to say, oh, I spent my life savings going to this location, it wasn't there. That would break my heart. So it's kind of, you can get about halfway through the clues using Google, and possibly following what other people have done. There's already people that have worked on the clues, and some are about half right. So that's kind of neat. But I took a look at this poem back when I first did Valentine Goose, because I had a site thought out, and of course the first thing I did was Google it. And I thought, well, here's where the warm waters halt, and here's the name Brown, and blah blah blah. And I Googled it, and probably 200 people had the same solve as I did. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then as I'm reading, probably 100 people visited the location. I'm like, okay, so that place, I can't imagine 100 people would visit this location and all miss it. But to me, that's, of course, that's a thing to everybody, is that first clue is really important. But what I was thinking of was, it's got to be like one spot. I don't think, because there's probably a million places in the U.S. where warm waters halt. It could be a dam. It could be where a warm river meets a cold river. It could be, but I think that's too vague. And I think the part of the clue is where warm waters halt is one place. It's one place where you can definitely go, okay, ooh, look, right here is where warm waters halt. And one of the things I thought of was like the Continental Divide, because part of the Continental Divide is on this map. And then I thought, no, that's where waters start. That's not a stopping place. That's where waters start. Nothing goes there and stops. That's where things start and move from there. And I don't know. That's going to be the kicker right there. Whoever solves where warm waters halt is going to be the one that finds the clue naturally. So yeah, I don't think he would have put a clue down. Maybe he did. Maybe he wanted red herrings or something, where people would go to every possible place where warm waters can halt and do a trial and error from there. And then you got that long stent where it's far but too far to walk. So you might find a couple clues that match several locations, but then you got this long span in there, and that could lead to anything. So I'm just hoping that he figured out like where warm waters halt, and I'm opening up my pad here, is one spot. Maybe it's a play on words, and where warm waters halt, to me, it doesn't mean where warm waters fade away. That's why I don't think it's where two rivers meet. I would be more inclined to think it was a dam. I'd be more inclined to think it's a play on words for some one place where warm waters halt. And then the map, there's this map, and so there's the poem on the map, and the map has very distinct, what do they say? The degrees show the declination of magnitude, compass north from true map north. So they're not longitude lines, but they're declination lines from true north, and they're very prominent on the map. I mean, they're just on there like crazy. So I'm thinking maybe that has something to do with it. I looked at things that, like, what temperature does water boil? What temperature does boiling water stop boiling? Maybe, like I said, where warm waters halt is, I'm thinking it's one place and it's a play on words. But looking at the map, I mean, it's half of Colorado, half of Wyoming, a little bit of Montana, and just the very tip of New Mexico. So I mean, when the poem first came out, there wasn't a map, and you know, way back when it first came out, I just glanced at it and I thought, oh, that's probably the Gulf of Mexico or something. But the Gulf of Mexico isn't on this map. Um, and then it was like years and years and years, and then I looked at it again, and because I've hiked all over Colorado, and then some people were like, oh, it's got to be down to the Baja Peninsula, and all this other stuff, and it just, they were like spreading it way out over the course of states. But as I looked at all these videos where people were comparing his interviews and stuff, it just seems more likely that this isn't a short span. This isn't a span of like a couple miles probably. But again, you got to find that starting point. And for the people, when it first came out, people were like, well, this is one starting point in one state, and then you go to this other state and that's another point, and then you go to this other state. And I think that's died out. I don't know if anyone's ever, if it's following that line of thinking still, but yeah, of course I'm saying what everybody else is saying. You got to find where the warm waters halt. I'm just saying it's not a river that halts. I'm saying it's probably a play on words or something. And it's going to be one place. It's not going to be where warm waters halt and there's 1,500 places where warm waters halt and you got to find the right one. I'm thinking once you figure out what it is, the clue is going to match that one spot and nowhere else. And that's going to be hard to do with how vague it is. But anyway, like I said, I did play with it and find the one clue, and I realized everyone else had found that same thing. And so I'm looking at it again, and that's where I'm at right now. And a lot of the videos make good points. And what I kind of, here's the thing. If you've ever seen the jelly bean contest where they put jelly beans in a jar and you're supposed to guess how many jelly beans there are, there's a weird mathematical trick to that, where if you take all the guesses and average them, the average will be the closest to how many jelly beans are in there. And it doesn't even a wild guess doesn't even affect it. If someone says 15,000 and someone says 5, those are very big ranges, and then you might have a whole bunch in between. But it's a weird mathematical, and the more guesses you have, the closer you're going to be. And I saw one where a person, I think they went through 250 people, and the average was like one bean off of what was in the jar, and people were guessing. I mean, the range was huge. And I'm watching these videos, and I'm thinking, okay, everyone's making their own points, but some of these points match up, some of these correlate. And I'm using the jelly bean theorem to, or whatever you call that, the jelly bean paradox. I'm kind of applying that to these videos. I'm like, the average of the videos is going to be probably the most likely starting point. So what I've done is I've just started watching videos. I'm just making notes of, okay, this person agreed with this person who agreed with this person, and these 6 people agreed on this point. So I'm just hoping that this law of averages might work out, might point me to something that other people don't see. And if you get this, I'm freely giving you this idea. If there's other people, one of the videos I watched, they had every single interview, and they had transcripts, and they had recordings, and they were picking apart every word. And someone with data like that could probably correlate the average. But it's not just the average of what Forrest Fenn says, it's the average of what everyone's guesses are. So I'm going to keep picking apart the data like that. And I still think it's one spot, and when you find that one spot, that clue is going to fit that spot and nowhere else. And I think these lines, I don't know, why else would you put, that's a weird thing to put on a map. I mean, I could see longitude lines and latitude lines, but both of which he didn't put on there, but he put, the degrees from from true north to magnetic north. So why is that important? Was that another red herring? But anyway, that's my train of thought. That's my first video on Forrest Fenn. And I don't know. Like I said, I'm perpetually broke, so I have to know where I'm going before I go, and that's going to be one of the ways I do it. But anyway, Star Thinker, Look up my books. If you look up Randy Pischel on Amazon, you'll find several of my books out there. 2 of my books are available anywhere you can buy books. But those are my thoughts. This is Star Thinker. I'm going to log off now for the Valentine Goose channel. Thank you.